Hey, good morning. This is Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and I am your host today of the Daily One Command. This has been quite a week because this week the topic has been affirming a new potential. And that is one of those titles where you say, uh, well, that's lovely. I don't know, even quite know what I'm thinking when I say that, right? Well, I didn't know I woke up today, Catherine, thinking I wanted to affirm my new potential. But this is really what we're talking about. This session is for affirming and commanding a whole new potential. And where I'm coming from on this is you and I mean, it's all over social media. We see these beautiful affirmations. There's this gorgeous picture, and there's a quote or an affirmation, and we look at that and go, oh, yes. And sometimes that affirmation is a clue that we are on the right track because it's matching what's our existing internal state is. It's saying, yes, you're on the right path. Keep going, which is the intention of an affirmation. An affirmation really isn't an agent for change as much as it is as an agent for sustaining your faith. Okay, that would be a better way of thinking about this. It would be the feedback that you need from the universe that you're on the right track, because one of the big ways that we know that we are doing the right thing is, heck, synchronicities, signs, wonders start happening. And the problem is we get hung up on that good feeling of the signs and the wonders and the synchronicities, and they become this cool story, but they really don't become quite our basis of being. The other thing that happens is for a lot of people or different times in your life, depending on you where in your consciousness, if you are at a lower vibration of that aspiration or that affirmation, pardon me, and something in you was attracted to it, one, that is telling you that just that desire when you said, yes, I love that. That's the sign from your soul or your inner self saying, this is who you really are. This is a clue about the greatness already within you. And we've talked about all of this, but I just want to give a little brief summary. The other thing that happens is here's what we want, here's where we are. We have this longing or desire. We wish, or it could be like that. Why isn't it like that? We start arguing with our reality, and that causes us to start one, um, we'll start speaking more into our reality. We're giving pictures, all of our emotions, all of it is supporting our current existence and not where we want to be. But then what we're putting in this gap is not positive intention. We're not putting in our vision. We're not putting in that new version of ourselves that's already operating that way. What we're putting in is shame, fear, anger, frustration, all those lower vibration energies. So, how can we make the shift? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about this today. And I want to give you a tool in addition to the one command that will help you solidify this new state of being that you want to operate from. Okay, so let's get right into it. Of course, I just want to remind everybody that if you are on the StreamYard app, to be sure and we see the pardon me, to like the StreamYard app. It's in the description box of this broadcast. Go to the bottom and hit like because it'll give you the little instruction. It's the very last paragraph. Like that StreamYard. There we go. And what that'll do is that will let StreamYard know that you and I can chat. This is how I can see your questions and comments. And I really want to because it's very important to me. If you are watching on YouTube, you're doing fine. If you just type in your questions or comments, I will be able to see them. Okay? All right. Brilliant. Let's get over there. Well, good morning, Miss Jody. So happy to see you. All the joys of live streaming. There we go. So this week we have really been doing a deep dive on this concept, how we can take this from an affirmation, this very simple affirmation. Today, I align myself with freedom, growth, and joy. And what's important is that all we can do is choose for today. We have to keep choosing in that moment. That's why, and that's why, like in Alcoholics Anonymous, says just for today, just for this moment, just for this second, I'm going to choose this. And that's how it has to be when you are really wanting to create something new in your life or just completely change your life. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to keep making a new decision. And I really think that that's how an affirmation can support you. That when you see an affirmation on Facebook or wherever you're going through your phone, wherever you see these, and you see that, you go, you know what, just for today, just right now, this moment, I'm going to choose for this to be true in my life. That's number one. If you did nothing else, you would start seeing a big shift. Okay. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the law of assumption. Neville Goddard, the amazing, our woke grandpa, this incredible New Thought teacher who taught from 1936 to the early 70s, wrote many, many books. One thing he talked about was the law of assumption. And he taught that nothing exists outside your unconsciousness, and your entire experience of the world is simply a projection of your internal consciousness. So, the way to think about that is we cannot know our consciousness. We can't really even know our deep internal belief system. We can only see the evidence outside of us. And based on our internal belief system, who we believe we are, and what's possible for us, and our place in the world, and our conditioning, right? The universe is going to show us who we are, but then what the universe is going to bring to us, things that match that energy, that match maybe that secret desire. If you've ever worked with me, I've shown you a chart where one of the corners that we work on is what is your secret desire? Because the universe will respond to that. I'm reminded of a story that Asara Lovejoy and I, who's the author of The One Command, we experienced together, and we met it at two completely different levels of consciousness. And she says a lot of times the universe will bring you what you didn't know you wanted for your own good. It'll bring you what you needed with, you know, for your own good, even though you may not know you needed it. Right. So Asara started operating in this assumption that whatever showed up in her life, on some level, she, one, must have wanted it, secret desire. She must have wanted it. And two, it must be something she needs for her good. What a powerful state of being. And Asara talked about it all the time. And I went, oh, yeah, that's so true. But I really didn't embody that. I really didn't quite get it because of my identity. Asara's identity was somebody who had a harmonious relationship with the universe. And she and the universe are always having a conversation. And she's always checking her boundaries and her feelings and making sure she's appropriate with the universe, like just like with a person, right? So that's how Asara Lovejoy operates. It's an incredible thing. Well, Asara and I had gone on this extended workshop tour. Like every week, we were in a new city for about 3 weeks. It was quite the thing, and with no breaks in between. And just before we left, Asara said, "I'm so happy because I just paid off my car. What a great day. This is a great foot, because now that's even more of our money that's going to be free to do things, right?" And I'm going, cool. That's fun. So we go on the tour, we come back, we're exhausted. And we had someone that Asara in our life that Asara gave him a lot of little extra work. He's one of those guys that struggled in life, and he had recently moved into her guest cottage so he could help take care of the house, and he was going to house sit while we were gone, take care of all the animals and stuff. When we came back, we found out that Asara's car had been totaled, that he had had an accident, and he had started using drugs again while we were gone. And he was drinking and driving and drugging and had an accident. And I was appalled. We had to take a taxi home to Whidbey Island, which was from the airport, which is a really long, expensive drive, And when I was unhappy, I was so mad. And Asara was like, "It's okay. It's going to be fine." I went, "Ah, okay." She says, "It's great. It's perfect. It's fine." And then I said, "Why? How can you be so calm?" And she said, "Well, I didn't know I wanted a new car." It's like, no, you didn't want a new car. You told me you were excited, Asara. You were excited about not having to have any more car payments. And now we're not only going to have car payments, we're going to have to go get another car, and that's a down payment and the payments and more insurance. Uh, okay, I can't believe you're excited, Asara. I'm so mad. I feel betrayed and I'm angry. That's me speaking. That's me trying to remember that, but that's how I felt. I was really offended that he would violate Asara's trust that way. Not just me. I had a car, but I'd loaned it to my daughter because she didn't have a reliable car at the time, and I was using Asara's. We were sharing a house at the time. We barely drove anywhere, so it was fine. But now it was like, how in the world are we going to get to the store and do things that we need to do? And she said, it's all going to work out. And I said, okay. So then Asara not only has a loving, compassionate conversation with this guy, and he realizes, she says, look, you can't continue staying here because I need you to fix the house up before you go. So I'll pay you $600 to fix the house so you have money to go. And I'm like, oh, what? You're giving him money to move away after he tore up your car? Asara? And she's like, I didn't know I was ready to bring in a new tenant. I didn't know I was ready for that. But apparently I am. I didn't know that there was something I needed to learn at this next level. It's going to be really interesting to find out how this all turns out. I'm like, okay, I don't know how. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm calm. I don't know how I'm getting the lesson. I don't know how I'm happy about this is going on. I don't know how to be, you know, um, have a positive expectancy. I mean, I was doing all the commanding I knew to do right then. And Asara was just so calm. And then it was like, um, she mentioned to someone, they said, you know what? We're actually going to Mexico for 3 months. You want to use our car? And she's like, sure. So we used this friend's car for a few months. And then one day I just thought, I need to get another car. And I just had an idea and I acted on it, made a phone call, and I, within I think 72 hours, I was driving home a brand new car. And a week after that, Asara was driving home her brand new car. And these cars we got at a better rate than we ever hoped for, an amazing trade in, the percentage points, everything. And I remember being so happy and excited about this new car that I got because my daughter and I just decided to move back from Washington to Texas. And what I had before was just a little Toyota Corolla that I'd bought brand new. But it was we'd had it a long time. And it was like, wow, I didn't know I needed a new car either. I didn't realize that. But then once I learned to accept my current circumstances, it's like, well, I don't know how it's going to work out. I only know all things work together for my good. I stopped arguing with what was happening. I started accepting. I did what we're talking about. Pardon me. I aligned myself with the freedom in that moment and the growth and the joy. I aligned myself with the positive outcome. So, in that law of assumption, what I met was not new potential. I met from my consciousness loss and betrayal. And I had to shift my consciousness in order to become open and neutral first, and then moving into this new way of being. So now when I think about the story, and this is a clue about what I'm about to teach you. when we tell ourselves stories about this, or you hear a story, there's this story about how it was, but then this happened, and now there's the new reality, right? And there's always that transformation. Every story you watch, if it's TV or movie or a news story, but in your own life, every story is a story of transformation. Well, when we are projecting into the future, we're not projecting us necessarily meeting that. We aren't thinking about ourselves in the transformation that we're having. So let's keep going. So, just very basically, if you've never heard of the law of assumption, it's basically you're just acting as if it's already so. We've heard this, right? Um, you want to get really clear on what the desired outcome is, and it has to be something that shows up in a way that you would absolutely recognize it. Okay. Next, you imagine that outcome is real and you create really strong positive feelings. And then 3, you just act as if it's already so or assume it's on the way. Kind of like if in that assume it's on the way, it's kind of like back in the days when I had a paycheck and paycheck was the 1st and the 15th of the month. Well, I was emotionally, mentally, um, just operating on like, this is when my money comes, this is how I can plan, and this is how I'm going to make all my decisions, right? That's exactly the same kind of feeling. Remember, we are creating from a state of joy, which is a very high vibration. It's up here, that first line on blue, where it says it's that God view of one. Everything's one. Everything is consciousness, right? The life view that it's all complete and perfect. And that level is joy, and the emotion is serenity. And then there's transfiguration. Transfiguration is that change of coming out of an ordinary state into that greater spiritual state of being. And I, in that little experience, was transfigured from one level of consciousness into another, from being in my anger, vengeful way down in the orange, right? It sounded like I was meeting it in peace and love and trusting, and absolutely not. I was, I wasn't even indifferent. I was vengeful, antagonistic, and angry. I mean, I wanted to fight the guy. I was really mad. I was all up in my dad uh, energy there, because my dad was a violent, we're going to settle this outside kind of guy. Okay. That's how I was taught to meet the world. So I'm going to share with you this little technique in how can we assume that feeling? How can we act as if? And it is this really simple tool. I remember when, but now. So, whatever it is that you're wanting to attract, manifest, create in your life, whatever greater state of being, how were you? Maybe, or when we're really clear on it now, but you got to think about where you are now. Pardon me, I tumbled over my words. So, if we were looking at a map and we wanted to get from point A to point B, we got to know where we are now, right? So you start with I remember when, but now, and now is the transformation. Okay, so if we're using this affirmation as a tool, it would be something like this: I remember when my life was hard, nothing changing, and feeling stuck. But now I live aligned with freedom, growth, and joy. This tool is so powerful. So, Jody mentioned in several calls back or a broadcast back that she's wanting to manifest a house. So she could, and I hope it's all right, Jody, that I'm using you as an example, but it would be I remember when I really wanted a house and I thought about it and I worked hard and it just didn't feel like it was ever going to happen for me. But now I'm living in my beautiful home and I just love it. And I am so grateful to be here. And play with that tool, play with it. It is so powerful. I shared a story with this when I first discovered the tool that I was sharing it with my sister, Sandy. We were going to be going to lunch on a Sunday morning. And Sunday in Texas, this is the Bible Belt, and so all the churches let out right at noon, and everybody immediately goes to a restaurant, and it is crazy for about 2 hours. Well, Sandy and I had made plans to go out, and we had gotten out a little later than we planned, and we realized we had gotten to the restaurant at about 12:15, and we went, "Oh no, we're late." And I said, "Wait, wait, wait." I remember when it used to be really hard to get into restaurants on Sunday because of the church crowd. Oh, I remember just the waiting forever. But now, when I decide to go to a restaurant, there's always a seat available to me. And she did that when we really got that good feeling. I was like, yeah, that's good. I like that. Then we got there and I went in and I washed my hands and came back and my sister said, listen, the hostess just said it's going to be 45 minutes before we go. Before we'll be seated. Let's go someplace else. And I went, no, 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 no. Our table is next. And she went, okay, let's sit down. I said, let's just sit and wait. Literally, the moment I sat down, the hostess gathered up 2 menus and 2 sets of silverware, and she said, "Are you guys ready? Let's go. You're next." And that's exactly how this works. So I want to invite you to play with this. When would you use this? You would use this after the command, and maybe you would use this when you're noticing that you're starting to worry or you're getting in your head about it, and you notice you aren't in the state of being that you want to be in. Which, if you can start operating from that assumption, like a Sarah, that whatever's showing up in your life, one, unconsciously, you must wanted it. You just didn't know you wanted it. And two, there's something the universe is bringing you that you needed that you didn't know you needed. But all things are working together for your growth. If you just met all of your circumstances that way, do you think you would be more aligned to your greater good arriving? Do you think you might be more flexible? Do you think you might be more open? Do you think you might be like Asara was to me, incredibly generous? But I thought, when I thought about it, it was actually pretty smart. The guy had no money. She didn't want him to be homeless. So she gave him a way out, right? And it was a win win situation. She wasn't giving him extra, she was giving what she would have needed herself, right? So I want to invite you to play with this tool. And I just call it I remember when, but now. And this puts you into that emotional state of being. And it actually kind of tricks your subconscious mind into like, oh, yeah, I already have what I want. And then it may even make you more aware of how much you've already manifested, how close you actually are to the fulfillment of your desire. So let's hold the intention of what it is that you want to attract, create, or manifest. What is the transformation that you are wanting to make in your life? Big picture. What is the main thing, your chief aim right now? Now, the next question in the chief aim, you go, well, how would you how do you plan on making that happen? What's your idea to make that happen? So, like, if my chief aim is to generate X amount of dollars per month income, that's my chief aim. My plan is to build my coaching business, right? So, unless the universe gives me another clue, that's what it's going to be, right? And it's going to show me the steps. So, what's your chief aim? And now we're going to do a command around I don't know how I am naturally aligned to my chief aim or my goal. I only know I am now and I am fulfilled. Okay. I'm going to expand that command just a teeny bit so that it matches the affirmation. Pardon me. Excuse me. I need to take a little sip of water. Excuse me. Okay. So, in that one command statement, There we go. That chief aim that you have. I don't know how. I am aligned to my goal in freedom, growth, and joy. I only know I am now and I am fulfilled. I don't know how I am aligned to my main goal. I only know I am now in freedom, growth, and joy, and I am fulfilled. Okay, let's do the 6 steps of the one command. I want to invite you to just bring your attention to your body and just settle into your body. Just come into awareness of your own state of being, feeling your connection to the earth and the earth's connection to you. And if there's any tension, any negative feelings in your body, any discomfort in any way, just let that energy just go right down into the earth. Just send it right down. And you're like the trunk of a tree, and you're like a tree, and at the base of that, at that trunk, that's where you're sending all that energy down, 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 down those roots. And the earth transforms all of that emotion into creative life force energy. And now just allow that energy to start to draw back up, 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 up those roots, up into your feet, into your knees. Just feel that energy rising up through you into your hips, into your lower back, up your spine, into your neck and your shoulders, and down to your elbows and your wrists and your fingertips, from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. Just feel this earth energy, this beautiful, creative, life force energy just filling you up. As you bring your attention to your heart and you are aligning to your desired outcome, your chief aim. Breathe into that. And now, just as you're thinking about your chief aim and the love in your heart, and think about where you are now, let there only be love between you. Between knowing and not knowing, let there only be love. And just allow that love to expand 360 degrees around you. Now I want to invite you to bring your attention to your connection to Source. So picture, visualize, or imagine that there is a pole of light coming right down through the top of your head. And it's going right down through your body, and it goes all the way down into the earth. With your eyes closed, very softly, roll your eyes up and picture, visualize, or imagine that you are traveling up a pole of light. And the higher you go, the faster you go, and soon you find yourself surrounded by the beautiful, velvety black void in space. Break through the darkness into the light of pure, open potential. Eyes up. We're going to state our command. I don't know how. I am aligning myself to, and state what it is you desire. I only know I align to it now in a state of freedom, growth, and joy. And I am fulfilled. And just let that go. We're going to let that expand out to an idea even greater that serves more good in its fulfillment. And we're expanding our consciousness is what's happening. Just let that go. And now, as you just come back into your own body, feeling completely grounded, just start to receive with gratitude this greater state of being, this new awareness, this greater potential, this new way of thinking, which creates new actions, which create new habits, which create a new character, which changes your destiny. And as this is starting to come in, we're just going to let that greater state of being arrive. Just let those old ideas, that old state of being, just release and unwind, unwind, unwind. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And now, what you're going to notice is everything's starting to rewind and align and integrate this greater state of being. It's coming alive and active inside of you. And now, before you open your eyes, do a quick internal check. When you think about your chief aim, what it is that you're really wanting to create, attract, or manifest. Does it feel, well, one, checking on your own feelings. How are you feeling now when you think about it? Does it feel inevitable? Does it feel like easy? Are you starting to get ideas on what to do? Yeah, just notice that, because you can open your eyes. You want to just, make a journal, keep a journal of your commands and the things that you're thinking about. This is a really important document that you're creating, because when you're going to start realizing what your journey is, you're going to be able to see how you're meeting the world, at what level of consciousness, and what your inner conversation is like. But you want to keep a track of your challenges, your commands, your revelations, hey, and of course those successes. And we always say, be ready for that seventh step and take inspired action. Be ready for your idea of that inspiration or opportunity and just go for it. But I would also say that to be in a neutral state and to be aware and just notice what clues the universe is giving you about the manifestation of your desires. Okay, I hope this was helpful today. I would love to get your feedback on this, if this was useful, what your personal aha was. And if you want to leave a comment so that I know that it was a newer comment, be sure and hit hashtag, write hashtag, then replay, and then your comment. Then that way I can keep track of those. I can find your comment a lot easier. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go so you can go play with this as quickly as possible. And until next time, this is Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and I witness your mastery. Bye-bye, everybody. Mwah.